Welcome to the channel The Military Cave. In this video, I will talk about the increase in military movements that China is making near Taiwan. According to data from the Taiwan Ministry of Defense, in the first 30 days of January 2024, there was a greater number of Chinese military movements and approaches close to Taiwan. In total, the Chinese sent 301 aircraft, 136 ships, and 57 spy balloons. This resulted in 58 violations of the island's aerial identification zone. Dozens of Chinese ships and aircraft have also crossed the median line, a line in the Taiwan Strait that separates the island from mainland China. These maneuvers and approaches not only serve to cause fear in Taiwan, they serve a very important purpose for China's invasion plans. Whenever a Chinese aircraft is detected by Taiwan's radars on an approach route, the island's air force is forced to send fighters and activate other radars with greater range and precision. In this way, they end up showing the Chinese the exact location of the island's radar stations and also the entire emergency response scheme. Obviously, this information is very important for the Chinese invasion plan. But why did the month of January break the record for Chinese maneuvers against the island? One of the reasons was the election of Ching-te as president of Taiwan in the January 2024 elections. Lai was the vice president of Tsai Ing-wen, the former president of Taiwan, who cannot run again in elections due to the limit of only 2 consecutive terms in the country, which means Lai follows the same Taiwan independence policy that Tsai followed. This was clear in his victory speech, in which he said that through his election, the people of Taiwan chose democracy and the island's independence from China. Lai's vice president, Hsiao Bi-him, was Taiwan's representative in the United States with large and deep ties to Washington and the Pentagon, something that greatly bothers the Chinese. Therefore, the election to the presidency of a politician who promises to follow the same line of independence as the former president and who will have a vice president with extensive contacts and connections in the United States of America was enough to deeply irritate Xi Jinping, the current ruler from China. To give you an idea, shortly after the election results in Taiwan, China issued a statement saying that Taiwan, despite not accepting it, is part of China. In that same statement, it was said that the election did not change the plans of the Chinese and the doctrine known as One China. This doctrine preaches that there is only one China in the world, which is mainland China, and that it rightfully owns Taiwan. The democratic election of Ching-te shows how much the people of Taiwan want to remain independent from China. This is very important at a time when more and more countries fail to recognize Taiwan as an independent nation. To understand why the issue of Taiwan's sovereignty and independence is so critical, we have to go back in time a little, more specifically to 1971, the year in which the Republic of China, the official name of Taiwan, was expelled from the UN, giving space for the People's Republic of China, the official name of mainland China, to take its place. But the final blow to the question of Taiwan's sovereignty was delivered by President Jimmy Carter in the late 1970s. Carter stopped recognizing Taiwan as an independent country and started recognizing only mainland China. Jimmy Carter's objective with this was to take advantage of the rivalry between China and the Soviet Union. The Chinese and the Soviets had been in a climate of constant tension since the 1960s, and in 1969, both sides almost became involved in a war over border issues. Jimmy Carter, by diplomatically recognizing China and failing to recognize Taiwan, moved closer to Beijing, further isolating the Soviets. As part of this Carter process, all thousands of United States military personnel were withdrawn from Taiwan, and American bases on the island were deactivated, leaving the small country unprotected. However, parallel to this, the American Congress approved a law through which the United States is obliged to provide Taiwan with all the necessary means for the island to maintain its sovereignty and freedom. This law, approved by Congress, created new ties between the United States of America and Taiwan, something that the Chinese hated as they believed that the Americans would not interfere in a possible invasion of the island. This became known as strategic ambiguity. That is, the United States diplomatically recognizes only China and has officially adhered to Beijing's One China policy, yet is obliged by law to provide Taiwan with all the weapons and ammunition it needs to remain free and sovereign of China. And it is through this strategic ambiguity that in recent decades Taiwan has been arming itself with advanced defensive systems, while at the same time developing important local projects to stop a possible Chinese invasion, such as anti-aircraft missiles and anti-ship missiles. When looking at the map, it is clear that a Chinese invasion attempt will be extremely difficult due to the fact that Taiwan is an island almost 124 miles away from mainland China, which means that for the Chinese to be able to land on the beaches or jump into the interior of the island, they will first have to cross more than 124 miles of sea, at which point they will certainly be hit by the thousands of missiles that Taiwan has been storing in recent decades. Furthermore, the surprise factor would not exist, as the Chinese invasion of Taiwan would require the use of hundreds of thousands of Chinese soldiers. To send so many soldiers by sea and air to Taiwan, China will be forced to use hundreds of planes and thousands of boats. As all this would not go unnoticed by Taiwan's defense forces, which rely on spy radars from the United States that constantly pass information to the island's army, China would suffer heavy losses and perhaps have to retreat. And that is why China tries to resort to diplomatic channels to try to annex Taiwan, a path that was deeply shaken by the election of Ching-te, a politician who promises to fight to the end for the island's sovereignty and independence. We must not forget, of course, the promise of President Joe Biden, who has said 3 times clearly and explicitly that he will send the United States military to support the defense of Taiwan if China tries to attack it. And it is for all this that the first month of 2024 has already started as the most tense and intense between China and the island of Taiwan. And what about you? Do you believe that one day China could actually invade Taiwan? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.